Hello again. I'm Professor Sudhir Bisht from Delhi Technical Campus or DTC in Noida. It's a esteemed college under Guru Gobind Singh IP University. Today we will talk about brand. What is a brand? And this is a lecture for semester 4 students of MBA who have opted for business marketing or B2B marketing as an elective subject. So in today's lecture, we will cover what is a brand, what is the meaning of a brand. I will also tell you Keller's brand equity model, which is also called as customer-based brand equity. Of course, we will discuss what is meant by brand equity and what are some fundamentals of brand equity. Also, we will try to touch base on the subject of what is the meaning of brand valuation. How do we say that Accenture as a brand is 19.1 billion or Deloitte is 13.5 billion dollars or Ernst and Young is 8 billion? Of course, these are business services companies. We will also talk about what are the branding decisions in B2B market. Why do some people undermine the importance of branding in B2B marketing? And they do so at their own peril, which I will explain to you. I will explain to you how some of the B2B brands like Tata Steel, how they have benefited from branding their products. We will also talk about the steps in branding process. As you know, you may have read it at your graduation level that there are some steps in branding process like brand planning and analysis, brand strategy, brand building, and brand auditing. I will explain to you all of this. We will also briefly touch upon what is meant by brand architecture. So, what is a corporate brand? What is a family brand? What is a product modifier? And I will give you examples of brand architecture, and I have taken Otis Elevator Company India uh, in this case. Also, how do people choose the brand names? And a bit about brand positioning, in which I will give you the example of Blue Dart Express and General Electric. So, this is all we will cover in today's lecture. As we unveil, this is going to be a long lecture because I want to cover branding in this lecture. So I hope you will pay attention and see the entire video lecture. Thank you. So we start with the first question as to what is meant by a brand. Okay, everybody knows that an organization which is a successful organization, it is successful backed by number of brands. Even if the organization does not offer a product and it offers a service, the company is successful because it is known to the people by a brand or a brand name. Let us take the example of Ola or Uber, which are the who are competing fiercely for the taxi or the cab market in India. So everybody knows Ola, everybody knows Uber. Okay, suppose their names were there was no brand names called an Ola or Uber, which is so easily pronounceable, which you can so easily remember. And suppose it was uh, known by a very long corporate name. We don't even know which are the real business registered entities who own Ola and Uber. So people know a company via its product and service, and the product and service, they are identified by brand. So we know that Colgate is a long lasting brand in India. Dettol is a long lasting brand. People, so much so that people swear by uh, Dettol so much that they think any antiseptic liquid is a Dettol. So till before ITC took over Savlon was never consistently able to match the brand value of Dettol in the mind space of Indians. So I would like to define brand as a intangible, I would say intangible marketing or business concept. Intangible marketing or business concept. What does it do? It helps people identify a company, a product, or an individual. So once again, a brand is a intangible marketing or business concept or entity. You can replace the words as per your convenience, but it is an intangible marketing or business concept or entity. What does it do? It helps people identify a company, an organization, a product, a service, or an individual. So this is what I think is it's a definition of brand which I have collected from various sources, and uh, I've tried to join together the gist of all the definitions, and I leave it here on the slide for my students also. One more thing, people often confuse brands with things like logo or slogans. You can be sure of Shell. Shell lubricant used to have a logo. Shell fuels. You can be sure of Shell. Okay. Esso used to have uh, a tagline called "Put a tiger in your tank." Put a tiger in your tank. That tigers symbolizes energy, right? So these are not brands. The brand is Exxon Mobil or Esso. The three brands of Exxon Mobil. Okay, and Shell lubricants. Shell is a mother brand. There are many lubricant brands of Shell, Rotella, Remula, like we have seen in the Indian market. So we should not confuse a brand with just a logo, just a slogan, or a recognizable mark. A logo or a slogan or a recognizable mark, I would say they are marketing tools which help promote goods and services. Okay, they are part of branding, but you cannot say a logo is a brand. No, a logo is not a brand. A slogan is not a brand. It's a part of branding process. It is said that brands are among most important and valuable assets of a company, and companies, they protect their brand. Once again, if a company has a logo, it will protect that logo by registering trademarks. Okay, for example, there is a head of an elephant in Pidilite, or Fevicol, right? Okay, so there could be somebody like a picture of Olympus in a tire brand. Okay, so there are many brands. Actually, brands are they can be corporate, they can be personal, product, services brand. Huh? So corporate, like Tata is a corporate brand. Huh? Tata, Birla is a corporate brand. Indian Oil Corporation, Indian Oil is a corporate. It's a great brand, corporate brand. But it doesn't mean it doesn't have other brands. Huh? Indian is a brand under Indian Oil. Indian Oil is a corporate brand. Indian is a LPG brand, right? So Tata is a corporate brand. It has many companies. So you can say it is a trust kind of a thing. Anybody with Tata, but Tata has many companies. Tata companies have many brands. Huh? Like Indica was an iconic car brand. Huh? Indica. Indigo could not succeed. Indica was a huge, one of the largest selling small cars, very popular in the taxi segment. So services brand I have explained to you. Ola or Uber, they are services brand, but perhaps they are operating more in B2C business. So large companies, they are very particular, they are very possessive about brand building. Whether it is a FMCG company, foods product company, consumer durable company, even industrial product companies are very conscious about building brand. So in the next slide, I will try to explain to you something more about the brand. Okay, in this slide, we will try to understand what is Keller's brand equity model. So first of all, Keller's brand equity model, it is also known as CBBE, customer-based equity, brand equity, customer-based brand equity. It was developed by a marketing professor, Professor Kevin Lane Keller in his textbook, which is called Strategic Brand Management. Okay, so the concept of CBBE or Keller brand equity is very simple. Professor Keller says in order to build a strong brand, you must shape that brand on how customers think and they feel about your product. Okay, so he says that uh, you have to build the right type of experience around your brand. Once again, he says you have to build the right kind of experience around your brand in the mind of the customer, so that customers they have a specific view of your brand. Specific view. It's not nebulous, it's not hazardous, it's not haphazard. It is a crystal clear view. And your brand, it evokes positive thoughts and feelings and beliefs and opinions and perceptions about it. And he says when you have strong brand equity, your customers will buy more from you. They will recommend you to other people. They will be loyal. You are less likely to lose them to competitors. And he has explained this in 4 steps, which has been shown in the illustration. At the bottom of the pyramid is salience. What is salience means? You have to identify who are you as a seller in the mind of the customer as to who are you. Second is performance and imagery. Performance and imagery. So customers, they will ask questions about your brand, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. So when they are asking the question on salience, uh, they are not just creating a brand identity. You know, you want them to hold a correct perception in their mind. Okay, and you have to have a unique selling proposition to them, which you have already done. Remember the process of market segmentation, market targeting, and positioning. Okay, so the second step is in the customer's mind, what is your performance and what is the imagery. What is performance? Performance means what does customer think, how well you deliver his needs. Okay, so Keller also said that performance, it consists of 5 categories. He says primary characteristics and features. For example, we have given an example of Shell lubricant in the previous slide. So, how what is the impact of the engine oil on the engine of a truck? Let us say of a truck. Does it lead to better mileage compared to the lesser grade or lesser brand which you are using? Product reliability, how reliable is the product? It should not happen that the engine oil should evaporate very fast. Engine oil, the there are some oils which tend to uh, deplete when they are put in the sump very fast. Durability, serviceability, how durable. So if you have a excavator which you have bought from JCB, how durable it is. What is your level of service effectiveness, efficiency, huh? Style, elegance, price. This is meant by performance. So primary characteristics and features, product reliability, durability, serviceability, service effectiveness, efficiency. So if you bought a JCB excavator, is it efficient in terms of fuel? Okay, is it efficient in terms of fuel? And its style, its design, price. When I say price, entire gamut of whatever is uh, alongside price. So imagery, performance and imagery. Imagery means how well your brand meets your customer's need on his social and psychological level. Okay, uh, in his mind, in his mind, does he consider your brand as a brand which he can recommend to others? He can be proud of, and the brand has given him. So, is your brand? I mean, if I were to take it to an extreme, is your brand something which gives him joy? Yes, even in case of industrial products, you know, this is how it can be. Then third thing he said is brand response. So, what is meant by brand response? So salience, you have said the customer wants to identify who are you, who are you, and he, is your brand aware, is your brand awareness there in the market? Okay, does your brand stand out? That is brand, that is salience. Then performance and imagery, I've explained to you, it means what are you to him in terms of performance and in terms of imagery. Then above that in the pyramid is judgment and feelings. How does the customer respond? How does the customer respond to your brand once he starts to use it in terms of quality? See, customers judge a product based upon its actual quality, but more than actual quality, perceived quality. So how can you improve upon these two things? Credibility, consider superiority, credibility. Customers, they judge credibility using some dimensions, like trustworthiness, likability, innovation. Okay, so you should ask, as a seller, you should ask yourself question: uh, does the customer feel I am a likable brand? Does he trust my brand? Huh? So from customer thinks, what do I think or feel about you? So what does customer think or feel about you? Brand response. This is brand response. Okay, and at the top is brand resonance. So resonance means how does your brand resonate in his mind? And because resonance is something which sits at the top of the brand equity, it is most difficult and desirable. So when once your brand resonates with a customer, he becomes your brand ambassador. Okay, then he has a deep uh, physio, psychological bond with your brand, deep psychological brand with your brand. For example, I was first, I first tasted or I first enjoyed a Toyota car in 2002 in Africa, and since then I have stuck to that brand. I've stuck to that brand. So resonance can be divided into four categories. Into four categories as per Professor Keller. One is behavioral loyalty. So, is the customer regular in the use of your brand? Repeat purchase. So, again, giving the case of earth moving equipment, suppose there is something called compactor or a dozer. So, if you bought something from, let us say, Escorts, okay, and you're using an Escort equipment, but for your new project, which is far away, and you have to buy more equipment, so are you going to JCB or you're going to Honda? So that means you're not loyal. Behavioral loyalty. huh? Uh, so what is their attitudinal attachment? Do they love your brand? Do they love your brand? Third is sense of community, which means uh, they have a sense of affinity, not only to the product but to the people. They look forward to the visit of your sales representatives, of your marketing representatives, of your technical people. So behavioral loyalty, attitudinal attachment, sense of community, and then Professor Keller also talks about, he talks about active engagement. Active engagement is the strongest example of brand loyalty. Customers are can be actively engaged with the brand even if they are not purchasing or consuming it. So they could be joining a club related to that brand, participate in the online chats, like a Twitter post of that company, like this. So this is how Professor Keller has given the pyramid for customer based perception. At the bottom is salience, which means how does the customer identify who you are, and meaning, what are you in terms of performance and imagery. Then response, how does he respond? What is his judgment? What are his feelings towards your brand? And fourth is resonance. How does your brand resonate with the customer? So what about you and me, like it is mentioned here? So I hope you have been able to understand Keller's brand equity model. So here is an interesting question. What is meant by brand equity? Brand equity. We know what is equity of a company, and we know what is a debt equity ratio, okay, and we know what is a book value, and what is the market value of a company, market capitalization. So what is meant by brand equity? So brand equity refers to a value premium that a company generates, okay, from a product with a recognizable name when you compare it to something which is nameless. Give you an example. If you go to buy, if you go to a grocer and you say, I want ghee, and he gives you ghee which is the butter oil. He gives you butter oil from a unbranded canister, okay, and he says this cost 300 rupee a kilo. But you say, no, I don't want this. I want 1 kilo ghee of Amul, but that costs you 400 rupees. It comes in a tin, separate tin. So the the ghee or the butter oil which is contained in a canister, it is a generic oil. It has no brand. Huh? It has no brand, and you are paying a premium over this unbranded butter oil for buying Amul butter oil. So this is, I want to give you a sense of brand equity. So companies can create brand equity for their products by making themselves memorable, easily recognizable, and by giving a perception that this branded thing, it is superior in quality and reliability. So actually brand equity has three basic components. So one is customer's perception. See, perception is the key. Customer's perception, number one. Number two, does this perception lead to a negative effect or a positive effect? So first is customer perception. Second is, does it lead to a negative or a positive effect? And third is, what is the resulting value of this effect? So if an industrial consumer perceives that Castrol oil, which is to be used in a furnace, it is great as compared to a brand of some other oil company. So it creates a positive impact on the mind of a customer. So customer's perception is that Castrol oil, which is used for a furnace, which runs on, let us say, which runs on furnace oil, it's a great oil, it's a great brand. It leads to a positive effect, and he's willing to pay a greater value for that. The value could be as much as 100 rupee a liter. It could be as much as more compared to the other brand, 100 rupee, 150 rupee per liter. So these are three components: consumer perception, whether it leads to negative or positive effect, and the resulting value. So does brand equity, does it have a direct impact on sales volume? Yes. Brand equity has a direct impact on sales volume and companies' profitability, because consumers, they gravitate towards product and services with great reputation. So if you're building a petroleum installation, and you want to go to Engineers India Limited for technical consultancy, you will have to pay a premium as compared to going to an unknown company which does not have such a great career record. Okay. For example, there is a company called Bechtel. So they were the consultants to Reliance Refinery, technical consultants to Reliance Refinery when Reliance Refinery was being built. So they went to the world's topmost techno consulting company. So that is how, if you have a great brand, it has an impact on your sales volume and on your company's profitability. And companies in the same industry, in the same sector, they compete on the brand equity. That is also a fact. So I have explained to you what is brand equity. So are there there are some fundamental elements of brand equity. Okay, first is you can say I have taken it from a website. I have mentioned it. Awareness. What percentage of your audience or industry is familiar with your brand? Awareness. Second is reputation. Just because people have awareness of your brand does not mean you enjoy a great reputation. Your perception is great. So, what do people who have heard about your brand think about it? Okay. So, Blue Star Refrigeration Services. What do people think about this? Okay. Or Paharpur Cooling Systems. What do people think about it? Awareness is one. Second is reputation. Third is differentiation. Differentiation is that part of value of your brand in which it is able to distinguish itself from the competition. You may have low awareness, but you may still have some attributes to your brand that if you increase your awareness, you have some unique features in your brand that you will be able to have a huge differentiation element. Fourth is energy. So brands, people, you invest in something because you think that brand will add value to it. So brands with perceived energy and momentum, okay, which are trying to innovate, okay, they are not just resting on their laurels. So this is energy. Does your brand exude energy? Fifth is relevance. Relevance. Your brand may you may have a great product, but if it is no longer useful to your customer, or if it has been replaced by another brand which is more relevant, which is also solving one or two more problems, the brand should be relevant. Loyalty is also a fundamental element of your brand. More the loyalty, stronger is the brand equity. What is meant by loyalty? I gave you the example of Castrol. So there is some Castrol industrial oil. There is one factory owner who swears by Castrol industrial oil. Okay, and another company representative comes to him. He is offering the same oil, same specifications, same API specifications, and everything, same viscosity grades, and he offers a discount of let us say 100 rupee per liter or some discount over Castrol to break into it. So would the customer bite the bullet? He will would he take the bait? Loyalty. Okay. Flexibility also is said to be a good an important fundamental of brand equity. So what is meant by flexibility? So if you develop a related product, you can also call it flexibility for brand extension. So if you develop a related product, would you add it under the same brand, or or adding it under the same brand will assist in the product development or the market development for the new product? So flexibility to use the brand, extend it. So 7 fundamentals: awareness, reputation, differentiation, energy, relevance, loyalty, flexibility of brand equity. So we also discuss the related term of what is a brand valuation. What is a brand valuation? And also we will discuss whether uh, industrial products, or non B2C products, do they need to invest so much on branding? So first of all, B2B businesses, they generally undermine the importance of brands, which is wrong. So in a survey, it has been found that most people think that in a B2B business, it's a rational decision making process, which is correct, But the sellers feel that the buyer is not swayed by branding. This is not true. So BBDO Consulting of Germany, it said that strong brands, they recovered significantly faster as compared to weaker brands after the stock market collapse. following the 9/11 terrorist attack. And McKinsey research has proved that even in case of B2B brands, branding helps customers and sellers in terms of one, risk reduction. So if your brand is known, if an industrial brand is known, so buyer feels his risks are reduced when they use that brand. One is risk reduction. Second is easy information. A recognizable brand, he is able to get information about it easily. And third is image creation. So when a brand is there, it you are able to have a good positive construct in your mind. Let's take the case of Tata Steel. Tata Steel makes this cold roll sheets, which it calls Tata Steelium. Or so Tata can use the mother brand, the company brand, the corporate brand, but it has these cold roll sheets. It has branded it as Tata Steelium. If you see the galvanized corrugated steel sheets, corrugated sheets, Tata calls it Tata Shakti. It adds the word Shakti, which means strength. For galvanized wire products, Tata calls it Tata Viron. So, because in each of its category, the addition of the word Tata Viron, Tata Shakti, Tata Steelium, it helps in differentiating the product. There is something called TMT bars, which we call in Hindi Sariya, which is used in construction of houses and what have you. So, just so many companies which are there in Western UP and Northern India, companies like Kamdhenu, Kashi, or Rathi, you know, they compete with big brands like Tatas and Jindals, but their brand TMT Sariya, Kamdhenu Sariya, you will see a lot of advertising happening for these brands. So, and these are not generally who buys them, the contractors or the or the people who are constructing the houses, big housing complexes, industrial. But branding helps. So what is brand valuation? Brand valuation can be defined as the process used to calculate the value of a brand, or the amount of money another person is willing to pay for the financial value. Suppose, for example, uh, if I want to uh, buy a company which has a very good name in uh, industrial air conditioning, in industrial ACs. So it is not necessary I am buying their factory. What I am eyeing is the brand, the market share it commands. Maybe I will not use the manufacturing facilities of that company at all, but I am trying to buy a brand. So how much money I am willing to pay to buy that brand? Recently, if to give you a non B2B example, Hindustan Unilever it is said, it is rumored, I don't know, because I read it in a newspaper. It is keen to buy a masala brand. So perhaps it is eyeing MDH, Mahashadi Hatti brand. So why are they are buying it? It's valued, they say, at 40 crores because of the brand name. This brand is popular all over India, and if Hindustan Unilever is trying for inorganic growth, it has a very good avenue to get into to buy this brand. So brand valuation, okay. Uh, Many companies have brand valuation, like Accenture. It is said it has a brand valuation of $19.1 billion as per Forbes. Deloitte, this is $13.5 billion. PricewaterhouseCooper, $11 billion. Ernst and Young, $8 billion. Okay, so uh, brand equity, it is a multi-dimensional construct. It is composed of brand strength, brand value, and stuff like that. we will take it in greater detail in the subsequent lectures. So I have covered with you the branding, what is meant by branding, brand equity, brand valuation, and why B2B companies should also look at branding. What are the steps which are involved in branding process? So I have taken this. I have taken inspiration from the book written by Professor K.K. Havaldar, which is called Business Marketing. And this is the book. I would like to show the book also. This is the book I have taken, and it is called Business Marketing Text and Cases by Krishna K. Havaldar. And I am also reading, it is by McGraw Hill Education India Private Limited. So thanks to Professor Havaldar from Professor Sudhir Bisht. I have used this book extensively in explaining this process. So he explains that there are four steps in the branding process. First is brand planning and analysis. Brand planning and analysis. Second is brand strategy. Third is brand building, and fourth is brand auditing. So it is simple. First of all, you analyze what you want to do. You do brand planning, then you make a strategy. How will you convert whatever you have conceived in the mind into an offering? Huh? And then you build the brand, strengthen the brand, and you continuously audit that brand. So we will go through each of this process. So Professor Havaldar has explained the first step in branding, which is brand planning and analysis, very beautifully. He says, first of all, it must have involvement of all in the brand identity. What will be the name of the brand? Huh? What will be the logo of the brand? What will be the color of the brand? What will be the symbol? So all these things. So involvement of all means people who are from the field, people who are from the marketing, people who are from the creative side, top management, stakeholders. Because brand is what will remain in the mind of the customer, not the company name. Unless the brand name is also a company name. For example, in case of Bharat Petroleum, BPCL, the petrol station is also called BPCL, Bharat Petroleum. Huh? But BPCL had started a drive called Pure for Sure. Pure for Sure, in which they said these are the pumps which are 100% sure at all time, anybody can check it. So many times motorists started to go to look for a symbol of where is Pure for Sure written. They forgot BPCL. Huh? They said I will go to petrol pump where it is written Pure for Sure. What a brilliant strategy. And later on it was tried, it was copied by IBP, which got merged into IOC later. Pure bhi pura mi, pura bhi. Pure bhi, pura bhi. For petrol pump, it flopped. See, branding is not a casual exercise. That's what he says, involvement of all. Aim is to deliver a specific set of benefit. Aim is to deliver a specific set of benefit consistently to the customer firms. Brand continuity is essential. No change in the brand name just for the sake of changing it. Why? Because customers, they trust brands which are built over long time. Which are built over long time. Indian for a commercial kitchen, let us say for the kitchen of a five-star hotel, they need LPG for their kitchen. So they will go and buy 19 kg cylinder of Indian, because Indian is the name they trust in terms of it is filled. Indian, the cylinder, if it is 19 kg filled inside, mentioned there over there, it will contain 19 kg, right? They are so sure, and they will get an uninterrupted supply. Of course, now the cylinders have been replaced by piped gas in Delhi at least. But if you go to a hotel, let us say in Bheda Ghat in MP or Puri, you will still find Indian commercial cylinders there. Indian is it's a brand which has been built over a long time, and people know that Indian supplies are uninterrupted. So many bottling plants Indian Oil Corporation has got. It's a Navratna company. So brand analysis, which will include customer analysis, also competitor analysis, your own company's analysis. Customer analysis is a must. What does customer want? Competitor analysis. What is competitor offering? Your own company analysis. Are you in a position to give? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Environmental analysis. You will scan the task environment, you will scan the micro and the macro environment. I have explained all of this in the previous lectures. And Professor Havaldar says company will ask some vital questions. First is, what really is important to the target customer? What really is important? Is he looking at superior calorific value when we are selling, and when we are selling a fuel for kitchen? Is it looking for a superior calorific value, or he is looking for ease of storage, or he is looking for reliability in supply? What is vital for him? So chronologically, put them in the order of importance. Second is, how does the customer, the target customer or the target customer, how does it differentiate between your product and other people's product? Is he more positively inclined to a competitive product? If yes, why? If he is more positively biased towards your product, why? Because you must know why the customer likes your product, so that you can build on it. You build on your strength, you minimize your weaknesses. Third thing is, in the overall brand planning, the company will also say, what are my company's strategic objectives? What is important for my company? Where would I like to be in the next 5 or 7 years? I will give you an example. ExxonMobil was at that time operating like Esso Petroleum. It had introduced a brand which was a run-of-the-mill brand. And the company knew it doesn't want to position itself in the market as a brand which is a run-of-the-mill brand. It wants to position itself as one of the most sophisticated, technologically advanced brand. And it withdrew that brand from that market to the pump. It was some oil, I think pump set oil or some thick automotive oil. Because if that particular brand is not a good fit for the company's overall objective, you don't have to spend on that brand then, or on that category. So this is the first step, which is called brand planning and analysis. In this step 2, I will discuss what is meant by brand strategy. As you recall, in the first step we had discussed what is brand planning and analysis. So here, brand strategy. Brand strategy, the steps in brand strategy has number of steps, number of decisions you have to take. And the first is that you have to establish what is called a brand architecture or a brand hierarchy. I will explain this to you. And then you need to choose a brand name, and then you need to take a brand position. What is the brand positioning strategy of yours? Then there are questions about brand extension. Can you extend your brand? Of course, then there are multi-brand strategies, co-branding strategies, dual branding, global branding strategies. I will explain this thing to you in small detail. First, let me explain to you what is meant by establishment of brand hierarchy or brand architectures. See, brands, they distinguish their products from competitors through various methods, like name, they make a promise, positioning. So, but how do you distinguish between your own products? Like, what is the difference between Dell Inspiron 14 and Dell Inspiron 15, other than product features? So, a difference the difference is denoted by an architectural factor which we called as brand hierarchy. So a brand hierarchy, it is a systematic branching structure of a branch. So suppose there is a trunk, and then there are small branches. So let's take the trunk as the mother brand or the company brand, and let's take the branches as family brand. Then there are smaller branches, let's take them as individual brands. So this is called brand hierarchy. So when companies begin to diversify their products, when they come up with new products, when they come up with new positioning systems, so they position they set up a brand hierarchy to help with identification of these brands. Let's think of Amazon. So Amazon provides ebook services, it provides e-shopping, okay? It also provides AI, artificial intelligence products, but people do not refer to Amazon for all this at once. So they, for example, they say Amazon Kindle, okay, or they say Amazon Prime. So these are various hierarchies, okay, or you can say various branches. So sometimes these hierarchies contain distinctive elements also. For example, name could be different, a logo could be different, so that you are able to understand, distinguish between various brands of the same company. Let me give an example from the car industry. And I've taken this example from www.feeddow.com. FEEDOUGH.com. So corporate brand, at top is corporate brand. Huh? It is the highest level of brand hierarchy. So this is the main company or corporate brand. For example, Tata. It's a corporate brand. Huh? If you take the case of cars, you know, Mercedes car is a part of brand Mercedes, but this is not the corporate brand. The corporate brand is Daimler AG. So Daimler is the overarching corporate brand to some other family brands. So Daimler AG has got some family brands, like these are also known as range brands or umbrella brands. It's called family brand because it may have a range of products under it. For example, Mercedes-Benz cars and vans. There are many kind of Mercedes-Benz and cars. And then Daimler has got trucks and buses. So Daimler trucks and buses, it's a family brand. Mercedes-Benz cars and vans is a family brand. Okay. But many times companies may not have a distinct corporate brand or a distinct family brand. Uh, so they may just be using like Otis elevators. The family brand, corporate brand and family brand is the same. Okay, but there are some cases like let's take the case of Apple. Apple Incorporated. It has a range of product under its individual brands. You have iPhone, you have iMac, you have iPad, different brands. So corporate brand is the mother. It's the mother brand of the company like Tata, and family brand is the second hierarchy of brand. Like I explained to you, the corporate brand is Daimler AG, okay, and the family brand is two family brands: Daimler trucks and buses and Mercedes Benz and car. Then we have individual brands like if we take the example of, let's say, Toyota India, then the corporate brand is Toyota. Then one family brand could be Innova. Glenza is another brand, okay, and Fortuner is another brand, okay. Under Fortuner there may be various categories, right? Under Innova there may be various categories. So if I see from the net under Innova, uh, Innova Krista, okay. For example, Toyota has got Toyota's corporate brand is Toyota, and then it has some family brands like Glanza, Urban Cruiser, Innova Krista, Hilux, Fortuner, Camry. And then this, for example, Krista also will have some of the variants. You can call them, sometimes you can call them individual brands, sometimes you can call them product modifiers, depending upon how you look at it. So I'm trying to see it from the website. So they've got many brands. Okay, I'm trying to show you. So if you select the fuel type from the website, let us say you select diesel in Innova Krista, then there are many variants. There is a variant called 2.4G 7S MT, then there is 2.4G 8S MT, then there is 2.4G plus 7S MT. 7S signifies seater, 7 seater, 8 signifies 8 seater. Okay, so the price goes on increasing. So variant is like, it starts from GX, then VX, ZX and ZX. So the price of a 2.4G 7S Innova Krista, it could be 18.8 lakh, but the price of the top end is 25.3 lakhs. So there is so much of variation. There is so much of variation in this. So again, I'm trying to read from the website, if you take the brand architecture of Otis Elevator, the mother brand is Otis Elevator US. Okay, then they have some family brands like the low-rise lifts, the low-rise lifts of Otis Elevator. It is called Gen 2 Core and Gen 2 Prime. So these are the individual brands. Then the mid-rise lift solutions, they are called Gen 2 Rise or Gen 2 Nova. Okay. Then high-rise solutions are called Arise or Gen 2 Stream, Skyrise. Their escalators are called Otis Link escalators. Now they have got service section also, Otis Elevator. They call it Otis Signature Service. They have now Otis has come into automated doors also. They don't call it Otis, they call it Empower. So different types of things to make your to set your brand architecture. But largely you can say corporate brand, family brand, individual brand, product modifier and descriptor. So you need to first of all decide the hierarchy of the brands you want to have. Some companies, so if you are a single product company, you may decide not to have too many hierarchies. You may just want to have the corporate brand and family brand as one. But if you have got for one particular industry, you have got range of products, then you will need to have a family brand and individual brand. So and so that you are able to, the customer is also able to distinguish between its own oil, its own industrial product. For example, Shell has got Remula and Rotella. So these are two brands for petrol driven vehicles and diesel driven heavy vehicles. So I hope you have understood this corporate brand concept. And but how do you choose a brand name now? There are four or five alternatives which are available when you choose a brand name. First, you can first corporates or industrial companies can use name of a person. For example, Tata or Honda. Honda is named after the founder. Tata is named after the founder. Sometimes second, nature of business. For example, General Electric. So General Electric, it's a company which deals in electric fittings, wires, equipments. Okay, General Electric. Anything to do with electricity, whether transmission of electricity or usage of electricity or or converting electricity into into desired temperature in a room, so whatever. For example, Mediterranean Shipping Company. So from the name you will know it's a shipping company. It's a corporate brand. Some companies use acronym. For example, International Business Machine became IBM, Hewlett Packard became HP. So third is use of acronym. Some companies also use artificial names which have no real meaning, which has no real meaning, like Xerox. So today Xerox, people think Xerox means to photocopy, but Xerox had no, it's an artificial name. Accenture, it has no meaning really. Fifth is metaphorical names. Metaphorical names, for example, Oracle or Apple. These are metaphorical names. So if there is a industrial unit which calls its machines Vedanta, metaphorical names. For example, Oracle is associated with prophecies, so forward thinking, forward looking. That's what you can say. Some companies use a combination. For example, like we said, IBM think tank. So it's a think tank is a IBM is the corporate brand. Think tank is the uh, family brand or individual brand. Okay. Uh, in case of what does in Apple products, what does I stand for? Because some I'm just trying to explain how people choose brand names. So Steve Jobs once said that I stands for internet, it can stand for individual, it can stand for instruct, it can stand for inform and inspire. Internet, individual, instruct, inform, inspire. This is the ethos of everything that is an Apple product, like iMac, iPhone, iPod. iPad. So this is choosing the brand name. Let's come to brand positioning and brand positioning in case of industrial products. So I have let me give an example of Blue Dart Express. As you know, Blue Dart has been it's a company which is into logistics. It's a logistics company with the largest network in India. So in fact, Reader Digest has rated Blue Dart as the one of the most trusted brand. Because in logistics, in courier business, what is the most important intangible element? It is trust. So most trusted brand for 11th consecutive years by Reader's Digest. Blue Dart Express is a part of German logistics company. Okay, and I think it is now the world's largest logistics company. So it has this company has got subsidiaries called Blue Dart Aviation Limited, which is courier using aviation services. Okay, it was incorporated in 1994. So what is the positioning of this Blue Dart Aviation? It has positioned itself as South Asia's premier courier and integrated air express distribution company. So it is positioning itself as a South Asia's premier courier and integrated air express package company. So it is using the value based and the user benefit based positioning strategy. Once again, user value based and user benefit based positioning strategy by calling itself as an integrated air express package distribution company. If you see General Electric, if you see how it has positioned itself, General Electric is an iconic company which was formed by Thomas Edison in 1878. But it has grown into a multi-fold organization. It is present in diversified set of businesses and industries. Its product and services range includes aviation, appliances and lighting, oil and gas, healthcare, and it's also into consumer financing, power and water, many companies. It has repositioned itself as a technology driven company, technology driven company offering value based production service. You see its mission. What is the mission of General Electric? Its mission is to invent the next industrial era. To invent the next industrial era. To build, move, power, and cure the world. To move, build, power and cure the world. So it is entire gamut of activity is we are talking of corporate branding. We are talking of corporate branding, corporate brand positioning of General Electric. Its tagline is imagination at work. Imagination at work. So this is a brand positioning. So in case of brand positioning, we can also use things like how to can the brand be extended? Can the brand be extended? So sometimes you can use existing well-known brands to introduce new products. Like I have studied in some detail Otis elevators. Huh? So they have started another vertical called it's the service vertical, and they call it Otis signature. So that means it has they maintain even if you have even if you have escalators and elevators which are non-Otis brand, Otis service vertical which is Otis signature will manage it for you. But they have used the brand Otis because in the consumers in the industrial buyers perception, a company which manufactures top class elevators must be an expert in managing it. So brand has been extended. Tata's always do brand extension. L&T always do brand extension. Some then there is multi-brand strategy, multi-brand strategy. You know of a company called Rosneft of Russia. It has more than 25,000 stations outside India, petrol pumps. But in India, it is operating as Naira, Nayara. Why? Because sometimes a company may not like the customers to have a perception that, for example, in this case, that you're a Russian company or a Russian brand. It may be sometimes a company maybe wanting to protect its existing brand. Suppose the new product category launched with the same brand name, it's a major flop. So that failure can rub on to the, or it can impede the growth of the original product brands. So multi-brand strategy. Sometimes, the third strategy in brand positioning is co-branding. So I've explained to you brand extension, multi-brand strategy, co-branding. Co-branding, the best example of co-branding is, you have seen on the laptops it is written Intel inside, Intel. So, and a logo of Intel is there. Even in my this laptop it is written Intel inside. So Intel processor uses this logo with all leading PC manufacturers, spending millions of dollars. This is also sometimes called ingredient marketing. Ingredient marketing. So Intel supplies microprocessors or computer system, microprocessors for computer system manufacturers like Acer, Lenovo, HP, Dell. It also manufactures chipsets, network interface controllers, and ICs. ICs means integrated circuit, flash memory, graphic chips. So this is co-branding. It has spent millions of dollars in co-branding, but Intel now it stands out because what is Intel? Intel, a microprocessor is not something which is in itself a finished product to be sold to a customer. So it's an industrial product which is sold to computers, to computer manufacturer, but it is co-branding it. Okay, so Intel has become a huge valuable brand, although Intel is not visible to the people who use Intel microprocessor which is inside the computer system, but Intel has become a huge brand, so it can anytime leverage that brand. One of the most successful brands in gradient marketing. Then there are global brand strategies in which in all markets you call your name the same, like IBM, Infosys. Infosys, everywhere is Infosys. Infosys is a industrial service seller. This helps in reducing costs. Okay, you have recently seen a case of Reliance petrol pumps. They are being rebranded as GOBP. It's a curious case. I encourage you to dive deep into it. Geo is a Geo is a telecommunication brand. BP is one of the most respected company, British Petroleums. So in India, Reliance division, which is looking after the petrol pumps, is called Reliance BP Mobility Limited (RBML). So all the Reliance fuel stations, they are being rebranded as GeoBP. What lies? What is the reason for this? What lies beneath this? This is something which will be good to study. Let's understand now the steps. No, step number three in brand building, in branding process, which is called brand building. So you have analyzed, planned a brand, and you have done the positioning for the brand, made the strategy for the brand, and now you need to build the brand. So there are many ways of brand building, and first of all, personal selling, one-to-one selling. We know that many companies have got their technical representatives, sales representatives, sales managers who go to various industries, and they give presentations to explain. I personally remember that when I worked for ExxonMobil, we went to many companies. We went to Aisha Tractors, we went to Punjab Tractors Limited and Escorts to explain that ExxonMobil is world's largest producer of lubricants, and we have got lubricants specially made for big tractor companies in the world. So this is personal, one-on-one personal brand building. Okay, brand build. It's a personal brand building tool. Then second can be direct marketing, in which you may not do personal visits, but you may be sending mails, you may be sending uh, study material, you may be sending a CD which contains something about your company. So direct marketing, personal marketing, they are interactive. Okay, you could be doing sending quick message using quick messaging services. Or direct marketing, like personal selling, is always focused, and you can customize the message. If you're going to one customer, it doesn't mean that if you're going to if you are going to one customer who's using your product, does not mean you have to give him the same pitch which you are using with the other customers who are using the product. You can customize it. Advertising, advertising is an important way of brand building, but normally in case of industrial products, you will advertise in specific trade journals and stuff like that. uh, I have seen a lot of time in the in-house flight magazines, in-house flight magazines of airlines. There are industrial products which are advertised, because mostly people are traveling on business. So you could see an advertisement for a machine which is related to paper industry, or generators which are related to heavy duty generators which are related to some other industries which require extreme power. So advertising. Fourth way is trade shows and exhibitions. I personally like to give an example of Tower Exchange. It's a Tower Exchange are these are specific exhibitions or seminars which are held for telecom tower company owners and their people who are related to telecom tower, whether through the passive infrastructure or the active infrastructure. So exhibitions are held in Singapore, South Africa, London. Similarly, there is a Mobile World Conference. It's an annual trade show organized by GSMA, and it is dedicated primarily to mobile communication industry. The event is held in I think Barcelona in Spain. Okay, usually in February March. So it is attended primarily by device manufacturers, the network equipment providers. So they go and they set up their stalls there. People visit their stalls. They tell them about the new products. More than 1 lakh or 100,000 people attend this GSMA trade show. Okay. Uh, Fifth method is for brand building is public relation. Public relation especially important for corporate brand building. A large corporate donating to a leading NGO is both an act of public relation sponsorship. It is also an act of meeting your uh, corporate social responsibility towards the society at large. Sixth can be sponsorship. So I remember many local football tournaments in Nigeria were sponsored by Globacom, and First Bank, which is looking for corporate accounts. It has recently sponsored Obasanjo golf tournaments. This the sponsorship, it builds goodwill. So these are some of the brand building tools: personal selling, direct marketing, advertising, trade shows and exhibitions, public relations, sponsorships. We now come to the step four in branding, which is called brand auditing. Auditing, as you know, is studying the brand and how the brand has performed in comparison to the brand objectives that the company set out for the brand. So the process of brand auditing includes deciding the objectives of the audit. Why do we want to audit it? Do we want to compare the sales which we thought the brand building exercise would lead to, or do we want to know the awareness level of the brand, or do we want to know if the brand is able to carry out the specific objective it was meant for? Okay, So this is, you have to decide what is the objective of the what is the objective of the audit. How frequently brand auditing is done? Some companies, big companies, normally do brand audit once in a year. Some companies have an ongoing brand audit. Ongoing brand audit. I know for sure that companies like Nestle, they do a continuous brand audit. In industrial segment companies like Caterpillar, they are also doing brand audit very frequently. So second is, you have to first of all, you have to describe in the brand audit how the brand has been marketed. So you have to capture the journey of the brand, how it was marketed. And third, you have to investigate, to carry out external investigation through research methods such as questionnaires, interviews. You talk to the, you talk to your channel partners about the brand, you talk to the end customer of the brand, you talk to people in the procurement department of the buying company about your brand. So you collect data on, how they perceive our brand to be. Then finally you analyze all the data that you have got, you interpret the data, and you make a report. uh, sometimes there is something which is called brand scorecard. So brand scorecard has four components. The functional performance of a brand. How has the brand performed in terms of the functions it was supposed to, in terms of sales, in terms of, has it led to increased profits, okay? And the ease and convenience of accessing the brand. So if a customer wants to know more about the brand, if a customer wants to know more about the products, if a customer wants to know about your marketing infrastructure, okay, how is he able to come closer to your company, okay? Then we try to see what is the personality of a brand, how do people perceive it, okay? uh, this software company SAP, it has defined brand personality as SAP says its brand personality is enjoyable, responsive, friendly, honest, listening, responding, constantly improving. So you find out what is the personality of a brand as perceived by the customers. And then in a brick and mortar model, the brand value, including the pricing of a brand. What is your brand value? So there are several approaches. One is called cost based approach. So you try to analyze that for the brand build up, how much the company has spent in terms of advertising, in terms of PR exercise, in terms of participation in trade fairs, in terms of one-on-one selling of the brand. So cost based approach, you try to take all the input cost. Second approach is replacement cost method. Normally, to explain replacement cost method, if you were to drop this brand and uh, come up with a similarly successful brand, so what all you need to do that? Okay, what all you need to do that? Suppose you drop a brand called uh, a specific machine oil lubricating oil brand, which is a machine oil. So if you drop that brand and to build sales to that level, what will be the cost? So replacement cost method. Third is a market-based approach. In this market-based approach, uh, what is the valuation of your brand? Suppose, like I gave you an example of in some class about Hindustan Unilever. Perhaps I don't know if it is true or not. It is trying to buy MDH, Mahashadi Hatti Masala, condiment, spices market. So how much is it willing to pay for that brand? So cost-based approach, replacement cost method, and market-based approach. So this is what a brand scorecard is. So we have completed all these steps in branding. Coming back to Kevin Keller's study, Professor Kevin Keller, he says that what are the brand attributes of world's best brands? He says the world's best brand, they deliver value to the customer that the customer deserves. Once again, the strongest brands in the world are those brands which deliver value to the customer that the customer deserves. And second, he says brand always should stay relevant, in touch with market realities. Third, he says pricing strategy should focus on customers' perception of brand value, not on the seller's perception of the value. And fourth, he says brand should be positioned properly after considering all the points of parity and all the points of differentiation. All the points of parity are those points which are common across the industry, and points of differentiation is which differentiates one brand from the other brand. You should analyze everything, and then you should think of a positioning. The fifth point which he said is that the brand should have a consistent message across all modes of communication. So it's not that your print media is trying to position a brand in a certain manner, your electronic media is portraying it in a different manner, your social media is portraying it in a different manner. There should be consistency of message. Sixth, he said that there should be a proper brand hierarchy. I have explained to you in the previous slides in the brand architecture: corporate brand or company brand, then family brand, then individual brands, something like that. It should be very proper. Seventh, he says the strongest brands, they receive support from all quarters, all companies. So if the top management has approved a brand building budget, it is supported by finance also, it is supported. And if they have if they have decided upon a particular unique selling proposition in terms of performance factor, then the production must support that brand, the R&D must support that brand. Eighth thing he says is brand must be monitored against a written description of meaning and equity of brand. This may look fairly abstract, but the brand managers actually they have a written description of meaning and equity of a brand. And then ninth is the brand auditing. Kevin Keller says the world's strongest brand, they audit their brands every 6 months or 12 months. But as we have seen, companies like IBM, GE, Accenture, they are engaged in continuous brand monitoring. So this finishes our rather long lecture in branding, and I hope you liked it. Thank you very much.